We'll start with the general film and media sector. There are a few elements we'll compare among the different industry sectors. First is the image quality. Now, from general film and media, this is the business about pretty images. So you're going to see the highest image quality when it comes to the film and media sector. And a lot of times people ask, is it about shooting 4K video, 6K video, or 8K video? Is it about the megapixels of the image size? Well, it is to a degree, but this is also about the type of sensors you have on your camera. It's also about the dynamic range. It's also about the different lens and the focal length of different lens you're putting on the camera. They all come into play. For example, when we film with AlteX Mini or let's say a Red Epic, we can shoot the same 4K image as the Phantom 4 will shoot the 4K image, but the end result is substantially different. So one camera's 4K is not the same as a different camera's 4K. So keep that in mind. Now, especially for film and media, it's more about the eye, right? Ultimately, this is the creative industry. Different people using the same equipment at the same location, they're going to capture different images because they see things differently, different perspective. So there is that creative element part that can't be really replaced or duplicated in the film and media industry. Usually we see a shorter flight time. So for shorter flight time in the film and media industry, it's not so much about the equipment capability per se. It's more about the pilot's choice. Because typically when we film, it's a scripted shot. It's for a scene, it's for a shot, and they never really last, 20, 30 minutes. So usually when the drone gets in the air, films the sequence, you have to wait for the scene to be reset. A lot of times it's the pilot's decision to land the drone, review the footage with the director team, or sometimes with the clients, make adjustments, and then go back up to basically retake for the scene, for the shot, or to move on to the next location. In terms of flight skills, this is one of the higher flight skills requirements compared to the other industries, because when you're flying for film and media, you are not just flying the drone, so to speak. You have to fly the drone at the same time controlling the camera that's on your drone, right? Adjust based on the lighting conditions, tilt the camera, basically making sure that you're still keeping the preferred framing you have. That's all the things you have to consider as a pilot. At that point, you're not just a pilot, you're more a cinematographer, as we call it, because you need to fly for filming. That's why there's a lot higher skills requirements when it comes down to flying for the film industry. When it comes to automated flights, there's a moderated level. We don't see as much automated flights as we see in the industrial sector, for example. Part of the reason is, like I mentioned, because this is the creative industry. So with the creative industry, you can't really automate art, so to speak. So everyone sees things differently, especially when you're filming a video sequence. You need to make sure the video sequence is nice and smooth. So that puts more requirements on your ability as the pilot, if you're actually able to achieve those longer shots, which are fairly difficult to achieve if you have a specific look. It's fairly difficult to achieve through automated flights. Now, what I'd like to also discuss a little more is the traditional film versus new media. This is one of the things we're really seeing from newer drones. They come with different presets, different functionalities. I mean, traditionally, when we built heavy lift and going on film sets to fly, it was mostly pilots spending years acquiring their skill sets and also having years of experience in the general film production industry. But right now, we're also seeing that from new media side, it's people coming from different backgrounds, and not just talking about vloggers or people who go on social media to build their sites, to do new media, advertising or marketing. It's also about people coming from different industry backgrounds. From training side, what we're seeing is called cross-disciplinary learning. Is, for example, we have engineers that typically when they do survey, for example, when they do topo survey, they're working with numbers, right? They're working with telemetry data of topography. Now, when they're flying drones, they're actually seeing for the first time, they're not just assigning a number an elevation number to a specific GPS coordinate, they're actually seeing an overall image. They can actually see the land from above, and they can actually collect points and overlay those points and connecting them as topography map. So now they have a topo map and with the image overlay under it. So they can actually see a lot more from an aerial perspective. Now, they don't just want to survey anymore. They actually want to capture some nice images, some nice videos while they are on site, just because they have the equipment, they have the capability. So we are seeing more functionalities on these new type of drones that allows you to do more advanced filming movements that traditionally takes years of practice to do. For example, if you look at the DJI Go 4 app, or even for DJI Fly app on the Mini or the Air 2, you can find the quick shots. So quick shots, one of them is called droning, which is one of the most difficult manual flights to actually achieve. With droning, you have to have 3 simultaneous controls at the same time to control the elevation of your drone, to control the distance, and tilting the camera all at the same time to make sure they're consistent to keep the subject in the center. It's really one of the difficult ones because when you're filming video sequence, any miscalculation can basically ruin the entire shot and you have to start from scratch again. The droning function allows to automate that. So you can actually select the people or the subject you like to have in the center, and the drone is going to automatically do the pull away shot for you and also return back to the first position, which is great for people who don't have that years of film experience or years of flight skills. So right now, for example, an engineering team can go on site, and if they see something interesting they like to share with the marketing or the development company, they can go into quick shots, press the quick shots, do a couple of adjustments, and then quickly get the shot done. So those are great new features we're seeing on the newer drones. One thing to caution everyone is there's always the trade-off, right? So the trade-off with skills versus quality. When you're using a quick shot on the DJI drones, they can only save the image in 1080p. So it's not going to be saved in 4K quality, which doesn't give you, the precise sensor quality as you would normally get. But it does give you a chance to capture shots that may be complicated or time consuming to complete. So keep that in mind. There are also other smart features and functionalities depending on the drones you use. In other words, what we're seeing is basically more features on these drones to allow people without that specific industry background still to be able to achieve something, still be able to capture some nice images and video sequences. There's another one I'd like to quickly show here, which is called the Aerial 360. So this is the aerial map of our drone flight field, and this is captured with just the Mavic 2 Pro, actually in less than a 10-minute flight. So what the drone would do is go up to a specific altitude, and it will capture anywhere between 20 to 40 images for the site, and you can stitch them in the post-processing software. So it actually stitch all the images together for you to compose a 360 aerial map. This is delivered in the HTML format, which is just your web browser format. And you can actually compose different information on here. For example, we're using this as aerial map, so we can have the flight zone, we can have the field setup, facilities, office, etc. So this is actually really popular for a lot of land developments and also larger property showcase. Takes 10 minutes to capture, and it takes a couple of hours to run through post-processing, mostly done by computer stitching. Some manual work we've done here, for example, sky replacement, because obviously in the sky, it's you'd see the propellers of the drone. So we did the sky replacement. We did some minor stitching to fix the artifacts, so the stitching seems more seamless. But overall, imagine this is a 10-minute flight plus, a 2-hour of post work, and you can have a really nice aerial map. And if I zoom in here, you can see quite a bit of details. Right. So if you choose to use Inspire 2 or Matrix with the X5 camera, you can even see more in-depth details on the images here. So this is actually giving you a lot of real-time information on the site.